Hello, we are on Chapter 7, Week 10. The topic is leadership perspectives on upper echelon and also non-profit leadership. The objectives of this week are understanding the differences between micro and macro upper echelon leadership, and describe the domain and the roles of strategic leaders, listing the individual characteristics of strategic leaders and considering the role of culture, explaining how upper echelon managers affect their organizations, and analyzing the unique challenges of leadership in the non-profit organizations. This is the leadership question of the week. Do you think there is a difference between leaders at different levels of the organization? And do you think there is a difference between leaders in different organizations? Besides size and number of people who report to you, is leadership fundamentally different at strategical, which means top level, and the lower levels? Try to think about it for a minute. At the end of this lecture, you will understand the answer to this question. First of all, what is the differences between micro and strategic leadership? Strategic is also upper echelon leadership. The first category is who the leader is. In the micro leadership, which is group leadership, there's one person leading a group, a team, or department. But in the upper echelon, strategic leadership, a person is leading a whole organization with a variety of titles. It can be president, CEO, top management team, etc. The second category of differences is the scope of responsibility. Micro leaders manages or leads small groups, small teams, or a department, but the upper echelon leaders are leading the entire organization. The next difference is on the primary focus. So the micro leaders' primary focus is internal, but the focus of upper echelon leaders are both internal and also external. What are the effectiveness criteria? That's the last difference category between micro and upper echelon leaders. So micro leaders look at productivity, quality, employee satisfaction and motivation, employee turnover, absenteeism. On the other hand, strategic leaders need to look at effectiveness criteria such as stock prices, financial measures of the company, the stakeholders' satisfactions. There's a big difference in terms of the effectiveness criteria. So what is the domain of strategic leaders? What do strategic leaders deal with? They deal with environment, they deal with company culture, they deal with the company organization structure, the strategy of the company, the technology used in the company, and the leadership. These are the 6 main domains of strategic leaders. So strategic leaders, the role of strategic leaders is, first of all, they have to formulate strategies, right? And then they have to implement strategies. And depending on the performance of the organization, another strategy can be formulated. And when they are doing this formulation, there are moderating factors, limiting factors, that constrains leaders' impact on the company. We will talk about these moderating factors in the next slide. So there are 2 types that we need to focus. 2 general category: external factors and internal factors that limits the executive power of the leader. External factors are uncertainty in the industry, the type of industry, market growth, and legal constraints. Internal factors are stability of the company. Just think that if the company is not stable, the influence of the leader, the influence of the upper echelon leader will be less, right? Compared to a company that has high stability. Similarly, culture, size, and structure of the company affects the limits the influence of leader on the organization. It's important to know the characteristics of upper echelon leaders, right? Maybe one day you will be an upper echelon leader in your life. So two main category: challenge seeking leaders and need for control leaders. Okay. Challenge seeking is the degree to which a leader seeks challenge. The degree a leader likes to take risks. Okay. The degree a leader is open to change and innovation. This characteristic, challenge seeking characteristic, has the most impact on the way a leader formulates the strategy of the organization. At one end, there are leaders who seek challenge and are innovative. At the other end of the scale, there are leaders who are risk averse and they are just not comfortable with change. They don't want change. Okay. And then the second category is need for control. It's the second characteristics of upper echelon leaders, and it's the degree of delegation, the participative leadership, empowerment, encouragement of tolerance for diversity of other opinions, forms. So this characteristic has the most impact on the internal culture and structure of an organization. So one end of the scale, there are high control leaders which push for control, uniformity. On the other hand, end of the scale, there are low control leaders who are open for flexibility and empowerment. Now, when we look at this on a table, the figure, the chart has 4 sections, right? This is the challenge-seeking axis. This is the desire for control axis. So you can be a high control innovator if you are a high control upper echelon leader and high challenge-seeking upper echelon leader. So we are in this part of the box. High control innovators are challenge seekers who have a high need for control. They select high-risk, innovative strategies while creating centralized structures with strong cultures. Okay. The status quo guardian, low challenge seeking, high control. SQGs are challenge averse and need high control. They select strategies that are tried already and true, and also they like maintaining high control over their organizations. The next one, participative innovators, are low control, high challenge seeking. Just if let's say you think 1 second about what is a leader that high challenge seekers and low control, you can make these comments by yourself, right? So PIs, participative innovators, seek challenge and innovation in their strategies while creating a loose, open, and participative culture, okay, and structure inside their organizations. So whenever the control is low, that means they are open for a participative culture in the organization. The last one, process manager, is low challenge seeking, also low control. PMs, process managers, allow for openness of culture and structure, and they avoid risky and innovative strategies. Which section of this box would you would like to fall if you were an upper echelon leader? Just think about it for a while. Then the next thing we need to talk about is culture and gender. Does culture and gender affect the characteristics of upper echelon leaders? There has been a lot of research on this, and of course culture is proved to affect the upper echelon characteristics of leaders. On terms of gender, there's little research, not enough research, but there's a fact that there are fewer women in upper echelon leadership positions. Hopefully, soon there will be more women in executive leadership positions. The next thing we will talk about is how upper echelon leaders affect their organization. Okay, this is very important. So, leaders, there's the upper echelon leader. Now there are these processes, okay, and then they affect environment, strategy, structure, culture, technology, and leadership. These are the 6 domains that we talked at the beginning of the lecture, right? So by these processes, upper echelon leaders impact these 6 domains. So let's talk about these processes, okay? Direct decisions. What are direct decisions that let leaders affect their organizations? It can be regarding organizational factors including strategy, mission, culture, and structure. Okay, this is how the leaders impact their organizations. Direct decisions with regards to strategy, mission, culture, and structure of the organization. How about allocation of resources? Second one. Since the leader has control over resources and rewards, okay, that provides upper echelon leaders considerable opportunities to shape their organization. Also, the reward system is same, right? The leader has the power of rewarding, and that's how they might impact their organization. Setting the norms, role modeling, setting decision standards and behavioral norms, and modeling of certain styles and actions are indirect but still powerful means for upper echelon leaders, okay, to impact the organization. So direct decisions, as I said, vision, mission statement, strategy, structure, organizational culture, and selection of other leaders. These are the direct decisions of an upper echelon leaders that impact the whole organization. I already talked about this, but let's go over again. Allocation of resources and the reward system. The leader shapes the organization, the leader impacts the organization by the power of allocation of resources and the reward system. Similarly, setting the norms and role modeling. Upper echelon leaders sets the norms and they are a role model for the organization, okay? Just think about Starbucks. The owner of Starbucks is a family guy, very, very, very loyal to his family, and that's why Starbucks actually offers very, very good benefits to their employees, because they see them as a family. Just a simple example, okay? What are the responsibilities of strategic leaders? There are hundreds of responsibilities of strategic leaders, but the most important ones, first of all, the performance of the organization, stock prices, stuff like that, like the finances of the organization, the internal health, the organizational culture, okay, ethical behavior and role modeling. A leader has to be ethical, and a leader has to be a role model in terms of behaviors, in terms of ethics, to the employees of the company. Okay, then the second part of this chapter is about non-profit organizations. Okay, the leaders of non-profit organizations. Why are we analyzing non-profit organizations separately? Because it's totally different than profit organizations, right? First of all, they operate without profit. They have a mission of serving the public. The board of directors are voluntary. They are funded through various private and public donors. It's all voluntary job. Nobody's getting paid to be in the company. So role of leaders in non-profit organization is very critical, okay, because the leaders of non-profit organizations do not have the power of offering rewards, right? They just need to use their influence, skill, charisma to be a good leader in a non-profit organization. So the system, if you look at a non-profit organization as a system, there are the donors, right? Donors can be individual donors, members, foundations, government grants, other contributors. And then leader is the bridge to connect donors to the recipients. Can be individuals, members, communities, other organizations. So what are the challenges? First of all, leaders must rely on participatory leadership to build consensus, right? So they cannot force control on the volunteers. There are strong ethical requirements related to each nonprofit organization. They have to motivate the employees and also retain them, okay? And then they have to find and train future leaders. These are very, very big challenges for leaders in nonprofit organizations. When we go back to the leadership question, I mean, as I said earlier, at some level, leading is leading. You need to take care of the task and people. Upper echelon, I mean, either you are a micro leader or a upper echelon leaders, you are still leading people, right? But upper echelon requires a heavy reliance on cognitive and interpersonal skills, okay, as I mentioned earlier, as well as able to juggle many complex factors. Nonprofits face another challenge of both working with volunteers and having no rewards for their employees. So connection with the followers is at the heart of the leadership of nonprofits. As also each leadership situation is unique, and being effective requires preparation, knowledge, experience, and styles and behaviors that fits the situation. Okay? Still, we are using that magic word that fits the situation. Thank you for listening. Have a great week.